Hey guys, what's going on, everybody? This is Dane. We'd like to welcome you to the first episode of the Farm Report on NYYU. Carlos, how you doing today, bud?
Good, Dane. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, the first thing that we wanted to jump into is obviously everybody knows how bad the MLB team has been, and they have not called anyone up. And we have a number of players just in AAA that could help that major league roster. Let's go through a couple of those guys and tell everybody why we think they need to be called up.
I mean, right off the bat, you could talk Austin Wells, right? Last week, he had
Yeah,
4 home runs, 11 RBIs, 5 extra base hits. He had a huge game yesterday, 3-run home run and a grand slam, 7 RBI
yeah.
game. And I saw a funny stat that said something about how the Yankees catchers had like 8 RBIs over the last, I don't even know how many weeks.
I think it was like 3 weeks or something. It was pretty bad.
It was a crazy stat. It was a
Yeah.
crazy stat.
And then we have Peraza down there who is just wasting away, and he had a pretty good week.
He did. He hit 333, 3 extra base hits, a home run, 3 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, and played excellent defense.
Yeah, did you see a couple of those defensive plays that he made? That one throwing the guy out at third base, and then the double play he started yesterday.
I saw the one he made up the middle where it was an in between hop and kind of ate him up a little
Yeah,
bit, but he was still able to
he,
come up with it and fire. Just an excellent defensive player.
yeah, he's wasted it at any other position but shortstop. I'm sorry. I'm just
Hmm
gonna say it. He
I
is
mean, he's
one of the,
perfectly suited for it. He's perfectly suited for it.
and he's got the arm for it. He's got the range for it. He's
Hmm
a legit shortstop. And then
Yep.
we have the guy that we've all been begging for 3 or 4 weeks to be called up, and Everson Pereira. So what did
Everson Pereira was
Everson?
another one. He hit 313 this week, 500 OBP, 1118 on base. I'm sorry, OPS, 2 extra base hits, 2 homer game. I think it was yesterday or was it the day before? The day before, and five
Yeah,
walks and 3 stolen bases. I don't even know what else to say at this point. I mean, he's already on the 40-man roster. He could potentially be a part of your future. I don't know why we're fucking wasting time with Greg Allen, Billy McKinney, and Jake Bowers in the outfield. No disrespect for them. I know baseball is a hard sport to play, but they're not part of the future for this team. So I don't understand why Cashman and company are afraid of losing these guys. I mean, you have 40 games, 42 games left in the season. What do you have to lose at this point? You have nothing to lose. You're how many games back now? 7 games back out of first
no,
place.
nine. We're nine
Nine
games
games,
back from the
nine
wild
games
card.
back at 9 games back, and you're pretty much hoping to make the playoffs somehow because you really have no plan. You have no plan on how to do that besides let's just keep throwing Bowers, McKinney, and Greg Allen out there and see if something happens. It's a hope. It's not a plan. It's hoping. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely frustrating.
It's
Everson Pereira could be a
asinine.
part of the future. Everson Pereira could be a part of the future of this ball club. You want to see what he's got. He's already on the 40-man roster. It doesn't cost you anything. Get rid of one of these guys. It's ridiculous. And that brings me to a point where I had spoken to somebody who has close ties to him, and he told me Everson told him that he was going to be called up after the 18th. And
Right.
then we in our
You and
group
I
chat we
got
spoke
this.
about this. We spoke about this where one of our guys said, "Hey, I heard from a more reliable source that he's not coming up because Boone said no." And then you told me your story, and then I think it was Max Goodman the next day wrote an article about how Boone met up with Steinbrenner and Cashman, and they had a powwow. And Boone said, we're gonna make a push." And I was like, "Holy shit, it was true!" Because the story to me, even though
It made
I'm not
no
saying I don't believe
sense.
you. Yeah, it was ridiculous. I was like,
No, it
no,
made
no
no.
way. I was like, yo, because Everson was on his way to New York, and they
Yeah.
told him to turn back around. That was the
Right.
original in our group chat. That was the original
Yes.
story, and I was like, no, that can't be. That sounds ridiculous. That sounds crazy. It can't be. And then the next day, you tell me your little piece, and then the following day, Max
Well, let
Goodman
me tell
writes his
you
article, and
what.
I was like, holy shit, it was true.
Let me tell you the part that I heard, so everybody knows. I was told that Boone, Cashman, and Steinbrenner all had a meeting about what direction they were going, who they were going to call up, and everything else. And as you know, Austin Wells and Everson Pereira both were not in the dugout on the 17th. And the rumor was you talked to somebody close to Everson
Hmm.
that he was on his way to New York.
Yes,
And
Everson told him, "I'm gonna be up there after the 18th."
right. And Aaron Boone told Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner that this was a playoff team as currently constructed and that rookies would not help them win. And then Goodman comes out and basically confirms what I had been told. And you just sit there and go, what is the possible? It was mind blowing to me that it could possibly be that bad.
It makes no sense. I mean, Boone himself knows when he looks himself in the mirror, this offense is not working. It is not clicking. And instead, you just keep throwing the same shit out there every single goddamn day, and somehow you're expecting some different kind of result. Like, it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous that they just keep going full steam ahead instead of saying, "Hey, wait a minute, this isn't working. Let's call up one of the kids," because at least if we call up one of the kids, there'll be some energy in the building, right? The fan base will be energized because they're sick and tired of watching these same guys who are basically off the scrap pile in a starting role in these teams. All these at bats going to Allen, all these at bats going to Bowers, all these at bats going to McKinney. These are at bats that should be going to Everson. They should be going to Wells. They could even, some of them could even be going to Chaparro.
And I was just going to bring that up. There's two guys that we're going to lose in a matter of a few weeks to minor league free agency. Esteban Florial, who has gotten 54 major league at bats over 3 years, and Chaparro, who has got 0. We're going to lose them for nothing. Why? This team is a last place team. They've lost 8 games in a row. What is the point of not calling one or both of those kids up for 40 games, 35 games, and seeing what you have? See if you might have an asset that you could trade this winter if you really don't think they're part of the future. You're just going to let them walk when there's obviously places to get them at bats?
It makes absolutely no sense. This, to me, this team is just waiting around for the season to end. The fan base has already had it. They're already fed up. Give them something. Instead, you have guys like Michael Kay, who I typically like. I don't like what he said to somebody the other day when they told him to bring up prospects, calling him, "Oh, you're just a fan." Well, those fans pay your salary.
Yeah,
Those fans
exactly.
pay the salary of all those players. Those fans are the ones that pay for all those vendors and that stadium. It's their tax dollars that went into that stadium. So it's disrespectful to just say, "Oh, you're just a fan." Like, that's complete cop out and bullshit, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree more. I heard that and I was just like,
And
unbelievable.
and going back to this team, just like it's just going through the motions. And I don't know, and I might be dating myself a little bit. And going back to the '98 team, the '98 team was a '98 team. They were a team of destiny. But when you have that kind of um label, right? There's pressure because now you have to finish, right? You have to close. You have to hit the landing, right? And what happens to the '98 team late in the season in September? They called up Shane Spencer, right?
Yeah,
And Shane Spencer became the story of September.
he
He
did.
he was nicknamed in the papers as the natural. I think he hit like 415, 8, 9 home runs or something like that. And for September, that was the story. And then fast forward to 2005, the same thing. The Yankees go into the season as perennial favorites, of course, because they're in the early 2000s. That's who they were. They had who were their big moves were Randy Johnson, and Tony Womack was supposed to come and be the catalyst of the offense, right? He was the leadoff
And didn't
hitter.
they? Wasn't that when Sheffield came in too in 2005?
I don't remember if it was 2005, but
Okay, it doesn't matter. Anyway,
regarding Womack, he was one of their quote unquote big gets. He was supposed to
uh-huh.
be the leadoff guy. He was going to get on base and set the table, all that. He sucked. He sucked. And what do the Yankees do? The Yankees call the Robinson Cano. And Robinson Cano goes on to hit 297, and he was the runner-up for Rookie of the Year. That was also the year they called up Ching Ming Wang, by the way. You need to inject some sort of youth into this team, and they just don't have it. They continue to play these guys that have no future in this team, and I
Think
don't
about
understand it for the life of me.
think about 20 is was it 2015 or 2016? They sold McCann, they sold off Beltran, they sold the pieces, called up Gary Sanchez, who had an amazing final 2 months. I think he hit 19 or
Yeah,
20 home runs. and
Hmm.
they almost make the playoffs, and he finishes second or third in Rookie of the Year based on 2 months.
Hmm.
I and almost got him to the playoffs. Why aren't they calling up kids that can bring life to this
This
team?
is
It's
this is this is the same thing that you and I have spoken about, and I said to you, I was like, I don't understand why it is that this front office is so afraid of prospects. There has never ever been a prospect that comes along that they need to lean on and burns them. There's only been one prospect that's ever done that to the Yankees. One, and that's Volpe. And yet he's been trotted out there every single day, every single game he's played in. And again, I like Volpe. No disrespect for him. I like Volpe. I think he's going to be a big part of this organization. And as you can see, he's been he's been turning it around. Right, he's been playing a lot better over the last whatever it is since the chicken parm game, since the chicken parm incident. He's been playing a lot
right.
better. But the point is that you need to keep trotting them out. You need to give them some room to make mistakes. And then for them to know that, hey, if I fuck up today, that doesn't mean I'm going to get benched for the next 3 games. They need that sort of latitude. And the Yankees just don't give it to him. I think Peraza played sparingly. He gets hurt, sent down, and he's been down there since.
Right. I think Praza had more at bats last year than he has this year.
I haven't looked, but Peraza went into the season as the supposed, the de facto shortstop, right? Last season,
He
even
started
though
a
you called
playoff
up,
game.
he did, and you called him up last season, right? Only after fans, screamed at the top of their lungs, and just to shut him up, you called him up, and you played him. I think in less than 50% of the games that he was able to play, and he still hit over 300. He started a couple playoff games as well. Everything was okay with him, and we thought he was going to be on this team coming to the season, but he wasn't. I don't know what happened. I don't know why all of a sudden there's this storyline that he can't hack it in the major league level when he hit over 300 last season and he played
He's
fine.
hit better than Volpe has hit in his entire time that he's been up.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't either. Well, let's get to something that is at least exciting. Drew Thorpe had his second Double-A
Oh my
outing,
god.
and it
Hmm.
and it might even have been better than the first. I he was
Absolutely,
just
absolutely phenomenal. Doesn't strike
oh,
outs. I think he gave up 2 runs in the seventh inning, I want to say,
they were
but he
back to
was
back
just
home runs in the last two batters he faced. Otherwise, he had a clean game going, and he was just on a roll. He
yeah,
was
phenomenal.
unbelievable how good he
Hmm.
was. What did he's got something like how many innings? He's got 15 innings he's pitched already in 2 games. 14. 14.2 is what it is. He went 8 and
Something like that. Yeah.
6.2. The
Hmm.
kid is just absolutely the hitters in Double-A have looked completely outmatched,
Yeah.
just like they did in High A.
Hmm.
I think he is going to be a very, very, very good pitcher for us in the future.
I laugh because when he was in high, I was like, he's just toying with hitters. It's just that he's too good for this league. And he moves up to Double-A, and he's pretty much doing the same exact thing he was doing.
Exact same thing.
He was doing the same thing he was doing in Hudson Valley, which is crazy, absolutely crazy.
But the most exciting story in the last 7 or 8 weeks has been your boy, Jason Dominguez. He has
Absolutely.
completely changed the narrative around him. He has gone from
Hmm.
a 188 batting average to last night. I think when I did the farm report, he was at 254,
Hmm.
53, something like that, after a four hit game. And he hit 3 doubles last night, just missed a home run. I mean, that guy robbed him of a home run.
He did.
And
He could have easily went 5 for 5 with 5 home runs.
yeah, because all three of those
Only
doubles,
all 5 of those hits were off the wall, well, except for the one that he was robbed.
right. I mean, he's in a phenomenal place, but yet he's still in Double-A. You can make the argument that he has been the best player in Double-A for the last month and a half.
I don't know the exact date, but I want to say July 7th. I think since that date, he's led the league in pretty much in the majority of the offensive statistics, which is
Right.
crazy compared to where he was in June. I mean, he's completely changed his approach at the plate. And I think one thing you could look at is he's being a little bit more aggressive. He's being a little bit
Yes.
more aggressive.
And
And it
that's
was just something
something
that I've told you that I wanted. But it's like it's a fine line, right? Because you have certain he like he said before, I go to the plate and I know what I want to do. If you don't throw me my pitch in the area that I'm looking at, I'm not gonna swing at it. And that was one of the issues that I had with him is I felt he was being a little too patient and he was taking a lot of strike threes.
we talked about this 6 or 7 weeks ago, that we wanted
Mm-hmm.
him to be a little bit more aggressive. That he was seeing,
Yeah.
that we loved how many pitches he was seeing, but
Mm-hmm.
he was still seeing too many, and we wanted him to be a little more aggressive. That's exactly what he's doing. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I know he's in AA, but this is still a last place team. The
Mm-hmm.
Braves call kids up from AA. The Orioles call kids up from AA. I know you and I differ.
The Angels called up a kid they drafted 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, shoot, Sunil or however Noah, what
I don't know what his
Nolan?
I can't pronounce his name, but
Yeah,
yeah, they called
I
him.
can't either. But
He was drafted, I think 11th overall. And he's already and they
11th
already called him
overall.
up.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So why Jason could realistically on a lot of teams be in the big leagues right now?
I mean, and this is one thing that I've always wondered about the Yankees is like you have guys that you can potentially call up, right? And they're on a hot streak. They're really hot right now.
They don't
And
believe
the
in hot
Yankees
though.
and the Yankees don't do anything about it. They just like, okay, let's wait, let's wait, let's wait, let's wait. Like they did it to Florial last season. When Florial he was on fire last year. He was on
Yeah,
fire at one point. And they waited until he went into a slump to call him up. And then all of a sudden he goes 0 for 3 in his first game. Oh, you gotta ride the pine. Two
yeah.
days later, you're back down. Oh, 3 days later, oh, I need you to be part of the taxi squad. It's a 20 or the 27th man, whatever, because it's a doubleheader game. It to me I don't understand why if you have a hitter who is hot, why wouldn't you strike while the iron is hot? Like for example, and I called for him to get playing time, which was Ben Rortvet, but that was when he was hot. When he
Yeah,
was
when he was
hot,
hitting 340.
he was hot, right? And then they call him up now, or whatever it was, like maybe 3 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago,
2 weeks ago.
and he just hasn't been he hasn't been the same player. He's not
No,
hitting much of anything. I think he's hitting like
he's under
he's hitting
100.
less than 100. He's under 100, which is pretty crazy, and that just further makes me say, you know what? All right, we've tried this. Wells is hot right now. You need to move to the side, go back to AAA, and let's call up Wells.
I wouldn't have a problem with them sitting Higgy and giving Rortvet and Wells more time to get adjusted. I mean, why not take this last couple weeks and find out what you have in Rortvet?
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense because, like I said, you have guys on your team which are not part of the future. You're not going anywhere this season, no matter how much you lie to yourselves about how the wild card, the wild card. I mean, even if they do by some miracle get that wild card, I firmly believe they're going to be bounced immediately. They're going to be bounced
Right.
from that game. So why not see what some of these guys can do for next season? Why not give them a month plus of experience so they can go into next season with that? Everson, Wells, if you want to call up Beater. So it's just mind boggling. It's just mind boggling, and it's this fake thinking that you're somehow going to make the playoffs. This team is not playoff ready. This team is not playoff ready, and that's why I thought at the trade line that they should have sold all their assets. They should have sold a bunch of arms from the bullpen. They should have sold on Severino as well. As much as I love Severino, but both sides are not gonna are not on good terms. So why not try to get some sort of return on some of these guys?
And they didn't. So jumping into AAA, what happened? We already touched on Everson and Austin Wells and Pereira or
Mm-hmm.
Praza having phenomenal weeks. Who else
Mm-hmm.
did what down there?
The only other guy worth noting down there this week was Will Warren, who pitched 2 games. He went 10 innings, 3 earned runs, 10 strikeouts, 6 walks. Pretty much it. Mitch Spence also had a good game. Which what do you think about Mitch Spence, by the way?
He's starting to grow on me. He's
Mm-hmm.
starting to actually look like he could be a realistic back of the rotation arm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I think of him because for so long he's been an afterthought, but he's pitched so well lately
Mm-hmm.
that I think you have to start thinking about him having a possibility as a role. I don't know what that
Mm-hmm.
role will be, whether it's the bullpen, whether it's in the rotation. I don't know, but I think he's got a major league future now. And I
Yeah,
didn't
same for
come
me.
into the year.
I didn't think much of him because there were just so many other guys. But this season he's pitched in a very he's pitched in some really good games.
Yeah, he has. He's
Hmm.
been good. I just like I
Hmm.
said, there's so many other starting pitchers, so few opportunities.
And
But
so
I
little
think he,
spots.
yeah, and so few spots. And but I seriously think that he has to be in consideration as like a sixth or seventh starter next year, as
Hmm.
someone you keep in AAA and
Maybe that Domingo
be.
Herman role.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking. So double A, we had some exciting stuff down there. We talked about Thorpe. We talked about Jason.
You had Caleb Durbin, who's back this week. He hit 400, 500 on base percentage, a stolen base, and RBI. And he's one of those. I know you liked him. We spoke about him earlier before he went on the IL, but he's a second baseman who I think at the time he was leading the league in stolen bases.
He was. I think he's a wait and see prospect. I don't know what he's going to turn into. It's a small frame. There's not a lot of
Mhm.
power there. There's tons of speed, good contact. Um,
So throwback
I
slap hitter.
yeah, he is. That's exactly what he is. And is there a role for him in the major league somewhere? Probably. Is it with the Yankees? I don't know.
Hmm. Right.
So
The next guy you had is Aaron Polensky. He hit 333. He's had a nice bounce back week. 4 extra base hits, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs. I think no, it wasn't him. It was Torrealba who hit the grand slam. But yeah, he's now 2020 going into the season, or he's reached it this season.
he was somebody that you and I have both been just unsure of what he is.
Hmm.
You changed your opinion any?
Um, I, I I mean, he's struggling to adjust, so it could have been like a big fish, little pond type of thing at high A. Um, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. I know for a long time he was mashing up until he got to triple to double A. He's sort of returning back to the mean a little bit or regressed some, which was expected. It's a different level than pitching at high A. But yeah, I'm still not sure.
How about Ben Rice? What was his week like?
I don't have his numbers on me, but I know that he had hit 2 home runs, I think 4 RBIs this week. Um, I don't know if it was a hot streak. Because as I've said before, before he went on IL, I knew him more as an OBP machine, right? He
Right.
was a guy that would walk like 5 times a game, and all of a sudden he comes back and he's going through like a power surge, which is interesting to see. So I'm very curious to see it going forward. How he ends the season.
Yeah, I want to see how he ends the season very much as well. I
Hmm.
just don't know what his role is going to be. He's kind of like in the Austin Wells boat because he's a catcher, first baseman, left-handed.
Well, I think for Rice, what he has going boding well for him is that he actually plays first base, where we've now have this narrative of well, Austin Wells can't catch, but you drafted him as a catcher. He's been in the system for 2+ years. You've never had any interest in moving him, and now when he's knocking on the door, now you want to talk about maybe you. And when you had ample opportunities to either move him to left field or move him to first base.
Smarter Yankees. So, is anybody else at Double A you want to touch on?
We spoke about Drew Thorpe. Blaine Abeda had another good game, went five
He
and two
did.
thirds, 1 run, 5 strikeouts. Richard Fitz, 5 and a third, 5 strikeouts, 1 run. Oh, and Yandris Gomez, he pitched 4 1/3 innings with 11 strikeouts, 1 run, 3 hits, no walks. A tremendous game from him. I think that's probably the best game I've seen since he threw that combined no hitter last year.
Yeah, Gomes has looked absolutely fantastic in that game.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
really, he's another one I don't understand. He's on the 40-man roster.
And I've read somewhere that he could be they can't if you don't bring him up to the major leagues or put him on the roster, they're gonna lose him.
Right, he's out of options after this
Yes, he's
year.
out of
So
options.
if they don't bring him up, he's gone too. Why not bring him up in a 2-3 inning bullpen role? Obviously, he has the stuff to strike out guys, as we saw
Mm-hmm.
Why not try him instead of being
And
forced into?
he pitched well in spring training as well.
He did. He could be a starter if he stays healthy. He could be a reliever. He could do a number of roles. He's got great stuff, but he's another guy who's stuck in the Yankees universe and just being lost.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's frustrating. So Hudson Valley. What happened in Hudson
Well,
Valley? Oh, I'm
before
sorry.
that, forgot to mention Chase Neely. He threw 4 2/3 innings, 1 run given up, 7 strikeouts, no walks. And Chase Hampton threw 6 innings, 2 earned runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts.
The first one you said Jack Neely?
Jack Neely, yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. I I am really impressed by him and Danny Watson. I think they are going
Mm-hmm.
to both be a big part of our bullpen
Yeah.
next year.
I mean, they're double A now. The way the Yankees move, yeah, it's possible. It is
Yeah,
possible. I personally would like to see the Yankees move some of the guys that they have right now in the bullpen and make way for these guys.
that's
But we'll
exactly
see what they do.
that's exactly what my thinking is you could move on from Wandy and some of those other guys, the Abreu's, the dead weight in the bullpen, and
Yeah,
give
I mean, it's
some of
another
these guys.
guy. Abreu doesn't really have a future in this organization. Why not bring somebody else up? And I'm not
Yeah,
talking
why
about
not get rid of him
Weiser.
and put Gomes in the bullpen?
Absolutely, absolutely. Or even give Beater a shot.
Yeah, either one. It just
Mm-hmm.
frustrates me. Hudson Valley.
Hudson Valley had Jesus Rodriguez, who was my player of the week. He hit 368, a home run, 4 RBIs, 2 extra base hits, 3 walks. Spencer Jones had a good week. He hit
He
350,
did.
3 extra base hits, a home run, 3 RBIs, 4 walks, 5 steals. Anthony Hall hit 300, 5 extra base hits, a home run, 4 RBIs, 4 walks. And Ben Cowles hit 333, 2 extra base hits, 3 RBIs, 6 walks, 4 stolen bases.
I Rodriguez is a guy that's really starting to interest me a lot. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's not a ton of power in that profile, but there's a lot of contact. He's versatile enough to play the corner infield positions, the corner outfield positions, and catch.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's a guy that everybody needs to watch, and he might become a very useful player down the road.
Mm-hmm. He
Uh,
just like you said, his power hasn't come in yet, but he just hits. The guy just hits no matter where you put him to play.
he does. So, is there anybody else?
Well, pitching wise, you had Justin Lang. For me, was the pitcher of the week down there. He threw
That's
five and two
right.
thirds
He
innings,
moved up.
shutout, a walk, 8 strikeouts. You had Baron Stewart, who pitched 5 shutout innings with a strikeout. Brendan Beck, 4 2/3, 1 run, 6 strikeouts. In the bullpen, you had Mason Vineyard, who went 4 innings, a walk, 5 Ks. Cole Ayers, 4 innings, 4 1/3, 1 run, 5 Ks. Luis Velasquez went 3 2/3 with 6 strikeouts.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of him follow back up, and he
Mhm.
looked really good.
I mean, to me, he was a little shaky at first when he first got the call up, but then I was looking at his numbers. Since July 1st, he's 2-0 with a 0.44 ERA, 0.77 whip. That's 20 and 2/3 innings, 1 run, 6 hits, 20 strikeouts, 94% left on base, and hitters are hitting 0.87 against him.
Oh wow. I've been talking, you and I have been talking about him for a couple months. I
Mm-hmm.
think that he has a chance to be a very special bullpen arm. That fastball plays up, he
Yeah.
holds velocity 40, 50 pitches, and that slider can be just absolutely a wipeout pitch.
Mm-hmm. Lots of late life
Uh,
in that.
yes, there is lots. So now Tampa has seen some names come up the
Mm-hmm.
last couple of weeks. What'd you see down there?
The player of the week down there. Well, the player of the week down there was Jose Colmenares. Colmenares. He hit 375, 4 extra base hits, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, 6 walks. I think they had him in FCL last season. He just recently came off of the IL, and he has just been hitting, hitting, hitting. He's one of those second basemen. I guess he got more of an opportunity now that Serna is up at Hudson Valley.
Right.
Um, And the only other guy mentioning on the offensive side is Bo Brewer, who hit 600 uh, with 2 RBIs and 7 walks.
Okay. Pitching down there, anybody?
Yorlin Calderon is probably the only guy worth mentioning. He pitched 5 2/3 innings, 1 run, 9 strikeouts. Hayden Murta also went 5 2/3 with no with 5 2/3 shutout with 5 Ks, and Matt Keating went 4 innings, a run, 6 strikeouts.
Okay. Is there anybody there that you're really excited about seeing move up to a next level or as they advance through the system, or is that a kind of a wait and see for you?
I mean, right now they're in transition, right? Because they have a bunch of the draft kids that are just got mixed in. I like
Right.
Kobe Morales, is one of the guys that I like. The Josh Moylan guy is also interesting. Um, I think that's probably Omar Martinez is probably only
Oh
other guy that
yeah,
I'm really
he's
interested in as of right now.
yeah, another first
Left-handed
base
catcher.
type. Yep,
Yeah, first base, left-handed catcher. Yeah.
another one. So down in the FCL, they clinched their league championship this week, and
Playoff. They clinched the playoff berth.
playoff berth, excuse me. And that team is absolutely loaded with talent. It might be our
Mm-hmm.
most talented team anywhere in the system. They probably
Mm-hmm.
have, well, they do have 7 guys on our own top 40 list, and that doesn't include the George Lombard Jr., who was just drafted.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the talent down there is silly. So, who did what this week?
Down there, my player of the week was Hans Montero. He had a nice bounce back. He hit 357, 1050 OPS, extra base hit, 2 RBIs, 6 walks. You also had John Cruz, who hit 286, 2 extra base hits, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, 6 walks, 2 stolen bases. Willie
I got to
Montero
bring
hit
up something about
278.
Cruz real quick.
Yeah.
You tweeted out something that if he was in any other organization, he would be the talk of baseball. But he's a
Yeah, he'll be the talk of
Yankee
minor league baseball. Yep.
minor league. Well, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about what he's done so far this year. And
I
his
mean,
batting average has been. Go ahead.
well, the last I looked, his batting average was about 294. He's had 10 home runs, which is second in the league, and he leads the league in RBIs. For me, when you first asked me about him early on in the season, I told you, what did I say? I told you he's very intriguing to me because of his power and his
And
age. He's only
age.
17 years old. But what concerned me was the fact that he hit like 220, 225. That's what concerned me about him. But this season, he has completely shifted that around because he's actually what 294. As I said, 294 is what he's
Yeah.
hitting currently, and the power is still there.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that he's 17 years old is something that you need to pay attention to.
Yeah. And he's a decent defender, big kid, left-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's somebody that we got to start getting excited about, because when he gets to A ball next year, he has a chance to really take off. That's just going
Mm-hmm.
to be an exciting team next year in A ball.
It should be. I absolutely agree with you. It should be. The pitching should be improved, and as far as the offense as well, especially if they have Roderick or Lombard down there.
Yeah. So who else did what?
Willie Montero hit 278. He hit 4 RBIs. I joked with him the other day. I was like, yo, you guys are going head to head. And it just seems like when you get 3 RBIs, he gets 4. If you get 2 RBIs, he gets 3. No matter what it is, it's like he just stays just ahead of you. And by the way, Willie Montero is also probably the second youngest guy on that team, and he's second in the league in RBIs.
Right.
You also had Kiner Delgado hit 267, a home run, 3 RBIs, 3 walks, and I think he had 8 stolen bases, I want to say.
Wow. And on the pitching side,
Jordan Mendoza pitched 3 and a third inning, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, 1 run. You had Edward Palomir. He pitched 5 and a third inning or 4 and a third innings, shutout innings with 4 strikeouts, and Louis Serna pitched 2 2/3 inning, 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts.
I was hoping to see more of Cerna this year. He was so good last year, and I
Mm-hmm.
really thought that he might advance a little bit further this year, but he got hurt.
Yeah, I thought when he came back that they would send him to Tampa, but they didn't because that's where he finished last season. So the fact that I saw him in FCL pretty much for his entire season was a little perplexing to me.
It is for me as well. Um, Now in the DSL,
In the DSL, you had Luis Ogando. He hit 625 last week, 2 RBIs. And this is the guy that's quietly been under the radar. I want to say he's 18 years old, but the guy has been hitting. I think one of the things with him is that I don't know if he truly has a position. I know last season he mostly played third base, or I want to say he only played third base. This season he's played third base, first base, and the corner outfield positions as well.
right?
I think he leads that team in hitting, home runs, and maybe even RBIs.
How did Brando do this week?
Um, outside of the home run, I think he hit like just under 200.
Oh, okay.
He's probably gonna end, I think their season ends this week. He's probably gonna end the season around 260.
That's not bad for a 17-year-old.
That's not bad for somebody who probably hasn't played organized baseball in 2 years.
Yeah, that's a really better point. That's a much better point. Anybody else down there that did anything?
Well, on the pitching side, you had Christian Zazueta. I think he's a Mexican kid. He threw 5 shutout innings, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. He's having a really good season, by the way. Then you have Xavier Marte. He threw five innings, no earned runs, 5 strikeouts. Jorge Luna is another guy that I've been keeping an eye on. Another Mexican kid, 4 2/3 innings, 1 run, 5 strikeouts. And then you had the lefty Pedro Rodriguez, who threw 2 shutout innings with 4 strikeouts. This is a guy that's really intriguing to me because he's been very good out of the bullpen, Pedro Rodriguez.
Yeah. Pitching, in a system full of it.
Mm-hmm.
So what else we have going on this week? We have the IFA video that we're getting ready to drop.
Yep.
Sometime this week, and we're just cutting videos, and we're releasing all the farm report stuff on Twitter for right now. So guys, check that out. Los, you got anything else, bud?
No, that's pretty much it. Like I said, our IFA preview for those are other IFA guys for the next 2 classes that are linked to the Yankees. That should be dropping, I believe, tomorrow is when I'm going to set it up for.
Outstanding. All right. We'll see you guys then. Thanks, everyone.
Right,
see ya.
Can't make a promise, but I do my best. 25 sitting on 25 racks. Just got started, no, we ain't done yet. Bought a new crib, that's a goddamn flex. Sign that check. Told them last year that I've been up next. Can't take calls, but I send that text. From way downtown, but the shit's still wet.